Welcome to this very special edition of 7 Minutes with Vivek Sood, Supreme Court senior advocate and country's top legal mind, the man who coined the expression, the fundamental right to internet. What is the ambit of free speech as a fundamental right under our constitution?
Free speech has a very broad ambit under our constitution. Any speech which is critical of the government, which is in the realm of entertainment, making caricatures of political leaders, revolutionary speech, out of the box ideas, rebellious speech. So all kinds of speech, even including the harshest criticism of an idea, of an individual, of politicians, of governments in power, of opposition leaders, is covered within the ambit of free speech. Any idea, any thought, any writing, any expression, howsoever critical it may be, it may ridicule people also. So the ambit of free speech is very broad under the Constitution of India.
Okay. We have got so much of social media, and an individual has to know where he is not on the right path. So, what is the Lakshman Rekha of free speech from a common man's perspective?
So, any speech that may fall within the ambit of Clause 2 of Article 19 of the Constitution, that's where the Lakshman Rekha is. Now, let me explain this in simple terms. Any speech which is defamatory in nature, you defame somebody, it is not part of free speech. Any obscene speech, any obscene material, vulgar material, and by speech, text, pictures, photographs, sound, videos, any form of expression is part of speech. So obscene speech is not permissible. It is outside the Lakshman Rekha of free speech. Any speech that hurts religious feelings, for example, any speech that is seditious in nature, any speech that promotes animosity between groups on grounds of religion, race, ethnicity, etc. In other words, any speech that is criminalized under the Indian Penal Code or any other statute will become outside the ambit of free speech, and you have crossed the Lakshman Rekha. Now, in very popular terms, I would categorize all these speeches, all these expressions which are beyond the Lakshman Rekha of free speech under an expression, hate speech. Let us call it hate speech.
Okay.
So there lies the Lakshman Rekha. Now there is an element of subjectivity. In certain cases, the line may be very thin. The line may be very gray. But all said and done, Ajay, there is a Lakshman Rekha between free speech and hate speech.
When does free speech become hate speech? And do we have a law against hate speech in India?
Insofar as the law is concerned, hate speech on social media, it was sought to be penalized and criminalized by Section 66A of the Information Technology Act in 2009. Hate speech on social media was made a crime in 2009. But in my view, it was a draconian piece of legislation. It was overbroad. It was vague. And a lot of free speech could be penalized under Section 66A of the Information Technology Act. And the constitutional validity of Section 66A was challenged before the Supreme Court. In Shreya Singh's case, Section 66A was struck down as unconstitutional, being in violation of freedom of speech and expression. So today, we don't have a law that targets hate speech per se.
Okay.
By hate speech per se, I mean, if I call somebody a terrorist, or if I call somebody, that he follows a violent ideology, it is hate speech. But there is no offense under the IPC that covers this kind of hate speech. We must promote freedom of speech. We must protect freedom of speech. But at the same time, we must penalize hate speech. Now, Ajay, I must explain to you,
Yes, sir.
why do we find so much of hate speech today across the internet? It is a creation of the internet itself. In the pre-internet era, the media was controlled by editors, by journalists, by a few TV channels. Now, Ajay, you are a senior journalist. When you entered journalism, you were trained as to what not to speak and what to speak, how much to speak, how to speak and how not to speak. Now here comes the social media in the 1990s as the internet has grown. Today, freedom of speech and expression has found a new meaning. It is extremely democratic. Every citizen has the opportunity to use the social media as a global loudspeaker and express himself, whatever he wants to say. Now it's become free for all. Now, while social media is a democratic medium, it has also become a medium of hate speech. So therefore, I say we must promote social media as a medium of free speech and expression, but at the same time, we must make a law that penalizes hate speech. And that law should be narrowly tailored. It should not be a new avatar of Section 66A of the IT Act.
Okay.